All right, so if you got a chance to check out the last video, I just kind of did a quick walk around on this car. Sad but true, but this thing is a parts car due to its condition. But we got a few things here pulled apart. The front bumper cover is actually pretty solid, believe it or not. No major damage. We just have that little crack down here. Everything's pretty complete. Very nice. It looks like this is an OEM fender on this side, and that one's a aftermarket, which is why it rusted away so quick. It actually has the little foam down in here behind the two grates. The nostrils are there. Like I said, everything is there. A VIN number for whatever red car it came off of. Yeah, you can see the headlight here came out. On this side, these bolts actually came out pretty easy over here. These ones snapped off. I just started getting some stuff here tore apart across the front end of this thing. We got the whole cowl panel off, which that was actually good. That was savable. The hood doesn't have, I mean, it has the holes, but they didn't put their squirters there. They actually got some and installed them onto the wipers with the little hose, which I thought was pretty freaking cool, man. That's a thought, you know what I mean? So I've seen people actually drill and they'll put the squirters down here, but this one here was a great idea. Whoever thought of doing that was pretty cool. Nothing else really as of yet. Like I said, some of the bolts come out, some of them don't. I got the wing pulled off. It actually came off. All the studs were good. So we're just working our way back. I did start picking at some stuff here inside the car. So I guess I'm going to pop these seats, get them out of the way, and then I'm going to get in here to the center console. I'm kind of curious to see. I believe it feels like it's a Mopar shifter down here. We have an MPX ball on the shifter, so we'll be able to see what's there. I do kind of want to figure out how to turn on the radio. It doesn't want to turn on quite right. Maybe a wire or something's disconnected there. And then we'll work on getting the door panels pulled. Take a look at these doors, see if they're worth to keep. Here, I mean, you know, I don't see no dents, but if there's no rust, I guess we're going to be keeping some doors. The last couple cars I had didn't exactly have any kind of great doors. So that would be, well, pretty nice to be able to keep these if they're good. Even though the paint's not the best. Because now finding doors is getting a little harder. Like I said, I do have a couple rear doors. Most of the time, this is the expensive part. It makes the window go up and down. And that's usually what ends up going somewhere. Alright, well, I'm still picking away here. If I find any other cool stuff, or things coming off, I'll bring that stuff up. Like I started a little pile here. Headlights are just too old to keep. They might clean up and you could probably, you know, re-clear them, but they're so cheap new. So we'll just be getting rid of them. And I mean, I was really hoping to have a good core support off of this, but you know, with the bend here and the bends on the bottom, it's not something that we're probably going to have. I'm sure it's probably rusty anyway. Alright, let's get on this. Did have a... This does have a RE Works name on it. I'm sure it's something universal. Alright. Alright, so part of the testing stuff, just so we know we got stuff good, even though this thing does start up and run, everyone always wants to see compression. So there's our plugs. Not terrible. I mean, considering the gas in here was pretty freaking bad. Let's see if we can get this thing to stay. It's not going to work out so well, but look, we got 150 here. Alright. Alright, so 150 on the number 4 cylinder. If you can see it in the camera view, I just hooked up a battery charger here, so. All right, 150 there too. Almost got up to 160 on that one. Well, it's like 162. So, great compression. I mean, I got a low battery, and then I got the charger on, so we're not getting 100% perfect. But based off of that, I'm going to say that this is actually a really good engine. This thing does have 118 showing, and the oil is pretty clean. So like, I'm gonna get these plugs back in here. It's really hot, so I'm kind of like working on stripping some other stuff apart before I actually start digging into the car too far. That way I can get it on video running again, and run it through the gears just to double check the transmission for another time. Well, just to double check it, that's what I mean. And show that everything's kind of working. And then we can really get into removing the engine, the transmission, you know, getting everything else off of the car here, so that we get this thing ready to, I don't know, become part of an EV, a toaster, you know, that type of stuff. So, alright, so we're actually getting a little bit farther here on the car, so just a quick walk around. I'll go over everything. It's funny, this window just keeps falling down a little bit at a time. But we have our upper dash cover, which was actually good. Pulled out of here. I started pulling some of the pillar gauges. I got to get the rest of the wiring. So we have some wiring here. And it looks like this is the turbo timer sitting there. We do have a Mopar shifter. Got to cut the wiring for the radio, then I can get the rest of this stuff out. But pulled out everything back there. Got the speakers pulled. It sucks. It actually had a good component set on this side, which was a Bose 6.5. No, Boston Acoustics 6.5, and the tweeter. And it actually had the I don't know what you would call it. Basically, it splits the highs and the lows crossover in the door mounted, but when I got to that side, it just had the stock speaker and the tweeter wasn't hooked up. So I would assume that before this thing was fixed and rebuilt last time, the stereo was probably installed, or at least the component speakers were, and they just were never switched over into that door, which is why, well, we don't have them. So, but those two doors over there seem to look pretty good, so I'll probably pop them off and you know, set them off to the side so they're usable. These ones here on this side, I don't know if I'm going to pull these. They've got like the way this paint's coming off on this side, and yeah, it's just terribly ugly. Hi, Moth. But we got the back wheels off. You can see just how, like, this is supposed to be solid here. There's nothing here on this bumper. It's gone. Taillight here is cracked right here. This is a chump here. And you know, just kind of trying to get off. This lower skirt's got this cracked out, so that one's no good. So right now I'm at the point where I'm gonna throw this battery back in, and we're gonna start this thing up, let it come up to temp. Just double check everything one last time, get a video of it running, to include with this, as I do have one on my phone. So we know we got 150 across the board. We know this thing did start. We know it didn't knock. I'll get the battery in. Let's see if this thing will fire up, because this gas is pretty gross. All right. Make this happen. Make sure I got the fuel relay is installed. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Swapped out. It looks like there's actually like little chew marks right here. Looks like something was chewing on the fuel line. This thing was sitting like in a wooded area, so that kind of does make sense that, you know, we do see that. And I mean, let's just check this out quick. So we got fans running. Watch. Fans are running. Alright, so I'm gonna have to say that we are probably good. Alright, that one feels good. That one feels good. Alright, I can actually feel a little bit of a, I don't know, it's kind of like a tick or a small vibration. So this is supposed to be able to fix that up. Alright. So a little quick flip. You would think that this thing would make a noise. It would make a knock usually, like if a rosin's bad, but man, I'm just gonna say that this motor is good. No knocks. No bangs. You can see spider webs floating around down there. But like with that being said, let's get this engine out. It's actually starting to burn off a little bit more. We just had rain, so it's going to be quite moisturous. These things can get cleaned up. Some nice looking boiler tips. We're finishing up. We're getting ready to call it a night, but I did kind of want to show this knock sensor plug. One of them little buggers thought it would be good to chew these wires. I think that's why I had a temp sensor code and the check engine light was on. But knock sensor, yep, temp sensor wires chewed right here. So we had that. None of these bolts wanted to come loose on that stuff. It is different to see one of these with an upper and lower heat shield still on it, even though it looks like this is not a factory bolt right here. It's warm still. So I got the oil. I'm busy draining the oil out of it right now. We're just gonna let that drain overnight, and then we'll drain our transmission. I'm gonna spray some stuff on the axle threads and on the bolts there for the spindle, and then we'll be ready to pick this motor up out of here. We've got a couple things here yet to do. Shifter cables, I still got to drain the rad and stuff, so we'll have to do that and then get the computer and stuff out of the way, but it's not that much. I'm planning to, still got to get these side skirts off here yet, and the window keeps falling. Look at that. I don't know how, but it does. I'm going to be pulling out, well, I got to get the shifter cables. I'm going to pop the dash out because it's going to make it a little easier in case there's anything in behind there that I want to get, including removing some of this wire. I think I'm going to be pulling this carpet as much as I don't want to. This is something that's not available. It does have a little tiny wear spot up there, but it is not bad as most. So I'll be pulling this out. I'll probably vacuum it down real good and I'll stick it in that one parts car out there, and then like I said, I got to figure out what's going on with the doors and get this headliner down. So I'm gonna have to make sure we have some clean hands for that. I don't want to get it dirty, but we found a cover. Kind of weird that this is actually cut here on the end. It's usually not something that you see, so we'll have to pull the clamp and the temperature sensor off of it, kind of go with it there. Should be able to score up a nice set of vacuum lines here. If I go through my pile and pick out what I need, should be able to put together a nice set. Someone I'm sure is going to need a set of those. Yep. Trying to get these fenders off. This one here is not looking too promising. It's pretty rusty down at the bottom, but plan to give that away to somebody because they need a fender. I'm just going to, you know, here, look, this will work for what you need right now till you get something that's a little nicer. This one here, I'm hoping is good down underneath. We got to get the side skirt off over here so we can get down to those lower bolts. And it actually looks like this inner well here is good. So we'll have to pull, it's like I want to, but like that's just kind of deteriorated a little bit. This is about ready to come off. But till tomorrow, everything, man, really looked good down in here. You could tell that these two injectors here were working really good. And then these two over here, like I said, I did put some fuel injector cleaner in there. So it was actually cleaning that stuff up. The intake was looking pretty clean down inside too. Let's just sit here, take a look. If you could smell this stuff, man, I'd love to share it. So, you know, you can see that one's pretty clean. This one was getting there. That one was getting there. And then this one on the end, for some reason, that one there was the last one to actually come around. This did have the actual, this little bracket that runs between the starter bolt and down here was actually still on this car. So I don't know, maybe the intake was never off. That's always a possibility with this. We do know that the clutch was out, so I'm almost going to have to say that, you know, this is one of them ones where you can come up here with a little wire brush and then on the trans and put 118K and 118K, because I'm about sure that that's exact mileage that is on this drivetrain here. I think this axle or just this nut was replaced on this side, so I'm not sure. It had the stock ones on the other side, and like that brake caliper had to be replaced. Same with this one. They just You know, they don't have no red to them. What does it look like in the back? I didn't even think to check. Yep, see, they look good in red yet. But man, the rust on these struts is just unbelievable. So, man, brake rotors, wow. You know, I think this thing, it's got like brand new pads on it, and these rotors were probably, they were probably new when this thing got parked, or very little mileage. So, all right, we'll update you more when we get this motor about ready to get pulled out, and if I find any more cool things. Another day, another bolt, another screw. So let's just get a quick walk around here. Got a lot of stuff here off the front. Busy working on getting this stuff taken care of, but let's check this out. I was able to get the dash out and check out that mouse nest there. It's got a wig in the middle. It looks like some dude's there. Could put a couple eyeballs. Be good to go. So, carpet over here. I was gonna, like, I vacuumed this off with plans to save it. Lifted that up. It's got nasty, smelly, like, so we're just calling the carpet a loss. There's not too much here. I'm gonna pull this harness out, and I'm gonna trim some ends off of it, just so that I have them. I got the AFR gauge. They actually made holes here, so I got to see. This is for the, this has an electric cutout. So I tried to turn it on the last time I had it running, but I don't know if it just didn't have power, or if the motor on the actual cutout is any good or not. So that'll be something I'll find out when I get it pulled apart. I still got to get the headliner pulled out. I'm gonna clean it a little bit, but that's a first thing tomorrow thing. We'll get the headliner out of this. We're going to be stripping this door. This here's got, like, I don't know, some scrunch marks on it. This is working excellent. So I'll be pulling this rear window regulator out for sure. It had an alarm system at one time, so we got that out of the way. Now when you come over here, obviously we are missing some doors. I'm going to, you can see where this was hit. We got washers here. This is spaced out here. So this thing must have took a pretty good impact over here at one time. Down this side. That's why it has a bunch of body filler there. But, I don't know. I don't really see a lot of paint work in the middle. Must have, maybe it was down through. The front looks good here. Once I get this fender off, I'll be able to see. It's just where the quick jack is on the pinch rail, it's holding on to this. And it's holding on to the one on the other side and you can't get to it. So they might come off last. So we got the dash, but like I said, I pulled the dash out. It does make it easier to get in here to some of this stuff. So what I'm going to do is, since this is out, I'll probably pull this, pull that center piece, this lower piece, and some of the other odds and ends off of here, just so I have more parts. And then I'll separate the wiring and throw it in, and the aluminum piece from here. I got a lot of stuff to throw into this car, so this thing's going to be pretty full when we take this in for scrap. You know, it's going to do its due diligence. It will be a trash can. But there's from the radiator that came out. Here's the pipe from the intercooler. We got that pulled off out of the way. Like I said, it would have been nice to be able to save this. It's just, there is a lot of good, a lot of bad. Up here in the top, I guess that corroded, so this thermostat housing is rusted here, so that thing's probably pitted up, and that'll be garbage. So I mean, like I said, nothing's leaking right now at the moment. Tomorrow will be another day. A lot of little pieces, you know what I mean, the stuff that you would think you would be that would be good just are no good. So, you know, that's no good. So we're gonna be throwing that back in the car. It's gonna be a lot to clean up. Everything's saved over here. I actually had somebody ask me for these rear wheel wells. I didn't have them. Now I do, so I'm gonna keep them. Sometimes some stuff you just don't keep because no one ever asks. Well, I got them now. All right, so I get you when I got the motor on the hook. All right, so we got everything pulled apart. Found this really nice wheel bearing. All right, everything's just really rusty down underneath there. If you take notice, it's Climb under here. All right. We still have a downpipe here connected. And the problem is these here did not want to come apart. So I ended up smashing this back so that I could lift this out. The exhaust, well, I don't know. You can see it's coming out all in one piece here. 4 very hard bolts to get out. We had all this right here going on to get these loose. I tried this freeze spray. I don't know if that made it easier or if it helped, but we got them out. That's all I can state right there on that. This side here is actually starting to make some noise. This wheel bearing here was no good, but we're in the process of getting this baby lifted out of here. So I just figured I'd show in some of that. What else? Kind of just threw the dash in there. There's our wire for our cutout. I got it. That'll come up through the floor, I believe. And then, oh my gosh, like this is just so bad. Look, it's rusted here, and it's like, look at this. Anywhere there was any of these clamps, it's just rusted. If this cuts here, and I cut through this to separate the back section, you could put a band clamp here. Up in here where they had it there, they had a band clamp, but it was a really old style, so when they put it on, it actually flattened the one side of the pipe. So the exhaust is not as desirable as I'd hoped. All I can tell you, man, is when you get into these cars that sit for a long time like this, you find some stuff that's good, but a lot of it is just very hard to save. You know, very nice and tight turbo. Like I said, that's probably fine. Like I said, the motor's probably fine. So we're still digging into this. I'm gonna have to get a jack and jack that front suspension back up, throw a couple bolts in. My plan is to drop this down, then I can get the fenders and the side skirts, and then I can roll this thing out, get it pushed up onto the trailer. I gotta swap the doors over, and then we're just gonna work on filling this thing up. It's gonna become the SRT4 dumpster, and I'll go over everything that I actually pulled that was good, and stuff that was actually, you know what I mean. But by the looks of it, I mean, there really isn't that much. I did pull the gauges. I got all the wiring for that. Like I said, I'm not even gonna, like, none of that's worth saving. I'll undo the power steering lines because they're going to be easy to get to. I'll save all that, even though that pump's a little rusty. The lines look good, believe it or not. So right now we just got to get up far enough where we can get the exhaust out, and then we can get these cables out. They're going to be a usable set of cables, but I don't know what someone had tried here at one time. You know, I hate to hide anything. This is bent right here, still moves. It actually flared this out. I don't know if somebody tried pulling this thing off with these bushings. You have to be very careful when you do try to remove these, when you have these aftermarket bushings on there, because you can run into problems and damage things, which is why I take that apart like that and let it on the shifter. I don't know if you can see right down there. All right, I'm gonna get this thing out, get it on the floor. All right, so the silver one is totally stripped. I got some pictures of it on the trailer. I'm gonna throw them in now. And if you see, I did swap out the doors on the passenger side because they were replaced at one time, and well, they were replaced with some little bit nicer doors, so I just kept them, swapped them with the one off of a red car. That one had rust and dents in the front, but Some of the stuff that we were able to salvage was, well, obviously, you know, we did get the axles, motor assembly, intake, a couple AC lines. I did save a bunch of stuff. I got that box full. Strut tower bar. We got the steering column. I think maybe, no, none of them panels. Shifter right there. It did have some stereo equipment in it, so the head unit, the 2 amps, and the subwoofer. I mean, universal, that could be used in something else. The core, the cow panel was actually pretty nice, and then there's the piece out of the trunk. Just needs cleaned up some. But, yeah, I mean, it was some work. There was a lot of rusted bolts, so I'm going to take you outside. I'll show you some of the other stuff that I got. Alright, so here's our wheels. I mean, other than being painted, which a lot of these ended up getting painted over the years, we got 4 good wheels. The wing, the downpipe, a catback exhaust, and the one fender we were able to save. Here's the hood. I was told a tree fell on it, so maybe that's what damaged this hood, and actually had broken the window. And the 2 doors are bolted on another red car that I had. I got one inner fender well, front and rear bumper covers. But like I said, there wasn't really a lot there to pull. Oh yeah, forgot about the that's over here. Here's our whole ECM set, skim, keys, lock set. That's all right there. The gauge cluster, I believe, is right there laying. A couple more speakers. We got an AFR gauge and a scan gauge there. One good tail light, rear window regulator. Like I said, I threw some bolts in here. Good front sway bar brackets. Usually, I mean, I got people that say that they need these, so I got those together. But I'm gonna work on separating this and getting all the bad stuff pulled off of this and seeing if the clutch is actually any good. I wish I would have did more testing on the trans. It kind of shifted all right, but I was told it had some issues, and when I did pull it apart, it did have some oil in the trans. So I'm just gonna put it off to the side. I'll probably pull it apart and double check it, and then I'll get a couple of them together, and then I'll do a big test video on those here someday, here soon, probably more toward winter. But yeah, the front door panels are there. Like I said, not much. There was not much that came off of that car. Either, like, all the suspension stuff was really rusty. The driver's front wheel bearing was bad. I could have pulled the passenger spindle, but, like, I mean, that stuff's just so rusty, and any of the rear suspension was so rusty, and, like, you know, we're talking, 20-some-year-old struts on the car. Could somebody have used them and made by with those a little bit if they needed to? Just not worth fighting the bolts. So I just didn't see the sense of pulling any of that. So I'm just going to cut that. I'm going to end that video right here. It's going to go on. It's going to help some other cars live. And that's the best way to say it. Oh yeah, forgot one more awesome thing that was in that car. I just stuck it up here out of the way. None of this other stuff was that, but we've got this nice dash cover here with a good boost gauge. It's actually on 0. So, I mean, that's cream puff. That's the finishing touch. And, well, that's the end of the life of another SRT4. And we'll see you in the next one.